Here we are in the Pillars of Hercules. It's a pub that was mentioned in Charles Dickens, and I'm here with Anne and Stephen and Iris, and I'm Jeremy, and we all work at Clarity. I'm here today to discuss, I suppose, the differences between the situation back in 1859 when Charles Dickens wrote his article about us, and the situation now. In 1854, the organisation was set up to provide the means for blind and visually impaired people to support themselves through employment. And I think that mission is still the same. Do you feel that you've achieved independence through working at Clarity?
I most certainly have. It made me live a more independent life rather than being dependent on benefits.
It's interesting you say that. There's a part in the article that I've got here that says our organisation prevented a life of pauperism or beggary. Even though the words are very different than we'd use today, I think the sentiment is still the same, isn't it?
It is.
It must be a lot better to earn your own money rather than to rely on benefits.
It certainly is correct, yes. I'd rather work for my money than be dependent on the welfare
If you're not
state.
working, you haven't got the money to go out and buy things
No,
or do other things. You couldn't go to a concert or a football or whatever you wanted if you haven't got the money.
Yeah, you're a big fan of football, aren't you, Iris?
Oh, I love my football. Got to keep going.
Yeah. Are you a season ticket holder?
Yes, I'm a season ticket holder at Arsenal, yes.
So how do you follow the game if so you can't see what's going on the pitch?
Well, we have a commentator at the match and we have a headset, and it doesn't matter where you sit in the new stadium, you can pick up the commentary, and they're very good, they are.
And you find it's a lot better to be at the game when the atmosphere...
Yes, because you can still pick up on the atmosphere and meet other friends, and yes, it's a great time out.
Clarity, you meet other people as well. You're not shut in your home.
I think the social side is important, isn't it?
It is,
and I think there was a study recently that said that 48% of people who are blind or visually impaired feel sort of either partially or completely cut off from their surroundings. But I know that's not the case for
Clarity
three of you.
is needed. It's a very important part of some visually impaired people's life. It could help some progress out, but there'll still be some that will need it for their full-time work. Well,
that was obviously the case in 1854 when it was set up. That I believe if you were from a family of some means, then education for blind and visually impaired people was there, but there wasn't the employment to go into. Do you think that the situation is much different today?
Yeah, if you've had the right training in the beginning, I think, because computer access these days is so important.
That relies on everyone having an aptitude for learning computers, doesn't it? And that doesn't apply to everybody, does it?
No. If you're not it's hard for blind people to actually get jobs within factories.
There is certainly a reduction in the number of jobs that require manual dexterity.
Exactly.
And I think that's, I know the three of you are very, very good at a lot of manual tasks and the making up of cartons and boxes, etc. And you were saying earlier, I think that, was it 85% of people with sight loss are out of work?
Out of work, yeah.
So it doesn't seem that's much different from back in Dickens' day, really, does it? One thing that hasn't changed, I don't think, between 1859, I think Charles Dickens wrote his article, and today, is that the demand for places at Clarity. In Dickens' article, there are 76 persons who desire nothing better than help to means of earning their own bread by honest labour. And they're on a waiting list for opportunities that arose back then.
No.
And we certainly get plenty of applications and plenty of interest from people throughout the country. One of the important aspects of working is obviously to get to your place of work. And I know people travel to Clarity from a long distance. There's an interesting part in the article, At Work in the Dark. There's a blind man who's a porter to the shop, and he walks great distances, faithfully trusting in the human friendliness of strangers on the pavement, who he asks for information about crossings, turnings, or numberings of streets. Obviously, the three of you get to situations, don't you, when you have to ask for help from
I had to yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you find that people are friendly now, or?
Most helpful, most 99% of people are very helpful.
Mostly on the tubes, people are very helpful, and sometimes when they go wrong and you have to get out, I find that people generally are willing to help.
Didn't you have an incident a few years ago, Anne, when you fell or nearly fell onto the tracks?
I did, yes. There was quite a lot of people, and the dog turned me quick and the man grabbed me. I was actually toppling. If the man didn't grab me, I would have actually been on the track.
So how did you feel after going to work the next day after that incident?
Well, that incident, I actually came on to work that same day, because what I felt was if I didn't try to get on another train and waited 24 hours, I would think about it, lose my nerve and maybe never get on a tube again.
But they do talk about it being less friendly these days, back with your neighbours, etc. But do you have good relationships with your neighbours?
I'm very lucky that I've got obviously a couple of other friends from Clarity that live one side of me, and on the other side I've got really, really good neighbours that will, if I need assistance, come, I just knock on their door and say, can you...
It's interesting extract in this article when talks about when Charles Dickens went round the original workshop in Euston Road. There was a blind woman at the fire, fearlessly pouring boiling water from the kettle into a small teapot. Whether the sound of pouring water or the smell of tea supplied the place of eyes, we do not know. That's quite interesting, isn't it?
That's
because
interesting.
yeah, it's a simple thing of making a cup of tea.
What it is, the sound of the water, if you were to use the same teapot on a regular basis, you get used to the sound as it's filling.
It might sound silly, but when I'm making a cup of tea myself, I use that finger, and when it's near the top of the cup, I know that that's how much I need to put in before I put the milk in.
All three of you live on your own, don't you?
Yes.
Independently. So how do you manage with things like sort of cooking and cleaning and things like that?
I love it.
Me too.
Recently, with my mum's help a bit, learned how to do more home stuff like making homemade soups and things, and I actually enjoy it now.
Well, I feel I've adapted to being blind, and most people say I cope with it very well. But as for cooking, it takes me longer, but I still try and cook my own meals. We do adapt to these things.
You adapt to what you've got, yeah.
Technology has helped quite a lot, isn't it?
Oh, it has.
Devices now that can help you find your way around, sort of personal sat navs, I think they're called.
There's a sat nav made by Human Eye that's very good. iPhone is one of the best devices made for blind people, which might seem a contradiction in terms, but the iPhone, Apple give you free access technology that you can turn on, and it makes the iPhone completely accessible in every way.
That's a very interesting point. But you say it's free, but of course the iPhone is not free. It's very expensive.
It's expensive.
And don't you find that other sort of assistive technology is very expensive?
Oh yes,
it can be very expensive.
That is what makes it hard for us.
If you weren't working, that would be more difficult.
Much more.
Well, you wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, access technology,
no chance,
screen reader packages for, let's say, IT are very, very expensive.
How much would they be?
If you're buying it from scratch, it's over £1,200.
Yeah.
It reads what's on the screen. You can edit. You can go into different web pages on the internet, just like a sighted person would.
You're a braille user, aren't you, Anne?
I am, yes, and I find that what's quite good now, I mean the electric company, the bank, BT, all these companies, I get my bills in braille.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that is quite impressive.
There's still a need for braille, I say, but obviously not many people use it now.
No, it started, I think, in 1837, when the first book came out in Dickens' article about the fact that in the workshop then there was a library of braille books that was passed around from employee to employee. As you say, not many people use braille anymore. I mean,
no, technology has overtook it.
So you think that technology is adapting, and bigger companies are starting to sort of pay attention to the needs of blind people?
Some companies are, some aren't. I think certain companies need to be pressured more to do it and to maybe lower the cost.
Back in the early days of the workshop, the main products that were made, it says here, that Dickens' article, they were taught certain trades and occupations for which sight is not absolutely necessary. Basket making, cocoa mat making, fancy mat weaving, sack weaving, and it goes on and on. And obviously they're very different products from what we make today, aren't they?
Clarity, obviously, which costs money, unfortunately, needs to keep moving on with what it does. Otherwise, that won't keep Clarity going, because you've got to make what sells. The thing that we're still doing, which Clarity have done for the longest, is interestingly soap.
Well, 75 years of soap making.
Yeah. Soaps.
And obviously the soaps are slightly different from than the ones that were made 75 years ago.
Yeah. We still need to provide the two services, hopefully Clarity will, keeping some on a permanent basis and some given the opportunities to move on. It's a very fine line between the two.
Well, that's certainly the intention of the organisation, to provide that dual role, if you like.
But without selling our products, which are very good, we won't manage that.
I'm very grateful to have a job through Clarity. It allows me to do the things I want to do outside, such as my Doctor Who conventions and visiting my mum in Hastings. I have plenty of money to do what I need to do, and the other great thing about it all is it keeps my brain active.
Working for Clarity has given me independence financially, helped me afford to bring my family up, who have now left home, my girls, and have lovely holidays. And without Clarity, I don't know what I would have done.
From my own perspective, working for Clarity has given me a good standard of living over the years, and also it makes you feel safe in the knowledge that you've got a job.